I'm hoping this is working. I wonder if this is on Facebook too. Come on, let's work. Oh, this is gonna shake this every time I type. Okay, I want to try not to type then. Is that working? Yeah, it is working. Oops. Sweet. Uh-oh, don't do that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Thanks for your patience. I am trying to make sure you can see this gorgeous view that I can see. Do you see what I see? La, 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 la. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Cordova. All right, I think I got this going. Thank God it's working. And Gerbot's here, and Jason, and Razorblade. Okay, let's see if this is gonna. Okay. Welcome to the morning time when we share. We got good things and wonderful things and all the things that we care about because it's love morning and we're sharing our hearts. I always want to rhyme that with farts, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's true. I'm here because I really love you. Good morning. Hello, I'm John Halcyon-Stin. This is a daily practice that begins with an impromptu song and continues with gratitude and a reminder that we are all love ambassadors. You didn't even realize you sent an application, did you? Well, it's kind of like when you search online, am I owed any money that I don't know about? You have been deputized a love ambassador. Congratulations. Uh, let's try this too. There we go. See how this works. Um, if you are here, you are more than welcome. In fact, invited to say hello, let us know where you are physically, share something that you're grateful for. I am in Solana Beach, California. The glorious Pacific is behind me. Was just outside with Lisa, saw a pod of dolphins swimming by. Man, that is a like a wheatgrass shot to the heart. Good morning, Joyous. Congratulations, all of us. Yes, congratulations. Bye, beautiful. Tell your folks I say hello. I'm grateful that I got to meet Lisa's mom and dad. Yeah, I got to spend time with them yesterday and got to uh, had that moment where there was this brief moment of our hands extended, father and boyfriend, and then no, we went in for a hug. So I'm grateful that I got to start strong with I at the time I was wearing my ugly Christmas sweater, and then I changed into my huggable. I don't know if you can see that, my huggable shirt. Um, Good morning, Suzanne in Nebraska. Janet says, I'm grateful I've landed on my word for 2024. Word is reconnect. It's already started secretly now. I love that tradition. I don't think I did it last year, but I love the idea of having a word for the year. I will meditate on that. I will sit on that. Anyone else have a word? You don't have to this can be the one you're thinking about. You're not it's not in it's pencil until January 1st. And then you can change it every day if you want. But Suzanne says, I'm grateful for my 12-pound cat who snuggled with me this morning. Nice. Speaking of cats, I'm grateful that Tall Paul is home. He is one of the daily regulars in our gratitude circles. For 3 years, I've seen Paul almost every day, and he was just in the hospital for 3 weeks. And he's now home with all of his cats. And so he was so grateful to be cuddling and sleeping with his kitties again. And I am overjoyed that he is home and healing and enjoying the snuggles and purring of his many cats. I am grateful. Oh my gosh. This is so huge. I'm grateful that I got to interview my parents yesterday. So at the retreat that I went to over the weekend, one of the things that came to me when I was meditating was you need to get your parents on camera. And I've done it in the past. I actually hired a videographer like 15 years ago, and I don't know where the footage is, which bums me out. And then I recorded them last year, but I did it just audio only, and that wasn't the best interview. And so I've been meaning, like, if something happened to them, I would regret not having more video of them to share with their grandkids and to have. I mean, one of the things that I was so grateful when my grandfather passed that, like, there was nothing that I had no regrets. There's nothing that I wish I would have asked him. And I had so much footage that I can now appreciate his energy for decades to come, which is why every day I end this with on behalf of Grandpa Caleb. So I've been thinking, and I would like to have more footage of my folks. And so that came to me this weekend. And then just 2 days ago, after the weekend, I was cleaning out some shelves so that Lisa had more space in my home, our home. And I pulled out a notebook. And after a meditation retreat from 3 years ago, on my list of downloads was record your parents. And so I'm like, okay, loud and clear. And so yesterday I went by my parents and I set up my iPhone, didn't make it fancy schmancy, didn't even have an extra microphone. I just iPhone on a tripod. And I found a good place with some nice indirect lighting that worked great. And I interviewed my parents, and it was so great. So great. I got to ask my mom about her faith and her church and her progressive Christianity. And which, if you remind me, her answer was so awesome. It really hit me. Um, I got to ask her about singing and what she gets out of the choir, because she sings in the church choir every week and does the bells. And asked her about going to Burning Man. She told stories about that, made her cry a few times. I didn't make her, but she told stories and cried because that's what we do. And then I interviewed my dad, and I had asked him about his legal career and being a judge and about values, and then he and I had a big heavy laugh. I had him tell some stories that we were both laughing hard at. Um, yeah, I may try to share screen and show you some of the video, but first I'll check in and say, good morning, Chris. Chris says, I'm grateful for you and love morning, especially this morning. I will share the love throughout Las Vegas today. Yes. I so love hearing that. Man, the concept of ripples is just so strong for me. So yesterday, I don't know where even these ripples start. 2 days ago, a friend reached out to me with concern about something he was going through, where he was out of integrity and he was being dishonest. And he didn't want to tell the truth because he didn't want to hurt somebody. And I was able to tell him about, look, someone told me the truth, put me through some hardship a year ago, and it hurt so bad. And on the other side of it, I am now a year later happier than I've ever been. And so then yesterday, we recorded the Stay Sparked. The new episode of Stay Sparked is so good. It's about honesty. I really, if you've never listened to Stay Sparked, listen to this week's. It's so good. And I told the story, and it was like ripples, 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 ripples. And your experiences, our joy, our lessons, our wisdom is this constant rippling out and making the world better if we are allowing, if we give ourselves permission to be love ambassadors. We have opportunities all the time. So thank you for heeding the call. Suzanne says the universe told you to record. Seriously, it felt like that. Lisa, I told her I did it. She goes, good job doing your homework. Um, Razor Blade is grateful for this beautiful, cool breeze while laying in bed. Chris is grateful for hearing all that, and grateful for ChatGPT and learning how to have it tell me stories with my ideas. Chris says there is no ocean, just a green screen. Let's see if the green screen can make some sounds. Although Zoom will probably uh, noise cancel out the sound of the ocean. I'm gonna spill coffee on myself. Do that. So a couple highlights from my interviewing my folks. I asked my mom to explain her faith and she just started laughing at first. And then she said, well, so most traditional Christianity focuses on the bookends of Jesus's life. They focus on a virgin birth and the crucifixion and resurrection. He gave his life for our sins. That the bookends are what everyone focuses on. But my faith, my practice is about the way he lived, the role modeling, the how did he act as a man, as a role model for how we can act as people. And I was like, ooh, I love that. And then she told me stories about when her church is very progressive. But she said she actually has twice left the church out of like, I'm protesting the direction of the church. I'm going to go and someplace else. And yeah, it was great. Also with my dad, there was two examples where we remembered stories differently. It was fun. It was a good example of how flawed memory is, which is something that I speak to all the time: cognitive bias and the limitations of our brain. And you should not become too attached to your thoughts or your memories or what you think it is, because brains have tactics and techniques to function that are not the same thing as absolute truth. We draw lines, we make connections, memories. We hear a story and then that becomes the memory. And we like, if you're not familiar with how this works, there's so much research and so many crazy things. Like people will see an accident and then someone will go, whoa, did you see that red car hit the black car? And it wasn't a red car and a black car, but they hear someone say that. And then when they go to court or when they get interviewed later, they say, yeah, it was a red car that hit a black car. Are you sure about that? Yeah, I can see it in my head. That is not what happened, but our brains do stuff like that. Anyway, there was one of the stories was funny. So when my dad was sworn in as a judge, my brother and I spoke on the stage of this packed auditorium. We were told it was a roast. It was not a roast, but my brother and I roasted my dad. We told stories about him falling in the pool when he was drunk. It was the judges and people were dying laughing. My dad said people still talk about it. But the memory that I had, and the only thing that was wrong, I thought he was there. He was not there for this. I told him about this later. But while I was waiting backstage or on the side of the stage with me and the presiding judge of San Diego County Superior Court, like the main guy, the lead boss of bosses of judges in San Diego. He and I were on, he's in his black robe. We're waiting for us to call us on stage. And he goes, your dad, he show me your website. What is it? Cocksucker.com? I was like, no, it's cockybastard.com. No, did you go to Cocksucker? That is not my site. No, that is not my site. And we both remembered the story, but I thought my dad was there. And he goes, no, I was already out there. You told me later that that's what happened. I'm like, oh, okay. But my brain, until he corrected me, my visual was that my dad was there. Isn't that wild? Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning, Leona. Leona says, I am grateful for my 18-year-old dog. So much appreciation for her recovery from a health scare. So grateful for every healthy day she has left with us. Thank you for the reminder of preciousness. One of those things that, one of the reasons I think also why the need to record my parents got, heightened for me was one of my closest childhood friends' father just passed, and he was terminally ill. He took a cocktail. It was a beautiful exit, but his son did some recording and interviewing him during his last week, and it made me think I want to do that. And why wait until the deathbed. Why don't I do it now? Because the footage I got, they're vibrant and they're laughing and they're hilarious and they're so good. You still get a sense of their personality. Ashley, good morning. Ashley says, samesies on the gratitude for animals, but with our 17-year-old cat. I'm going to try something. We're going to see if I can make this work. If you have a little patience, I'm going to see if I can show you my my parents laughing. Let's see. Come on, come on. All right, come on. You can do this, John. Let's see. If I do this and I go share sound and go. Oh, what? Restart your audio sharing application after. Okay, let's try application after. All right, I think this is going to work. Okay, let's try application after. Mute me. I hope that worked. I hope that worked. Otherwise, you guys were, because I couldn't see the screen while that was happening, but no sound. Ah, that's a bummer. Well, at least you get to see the visuals of my parents laughing. Um, aren't they beautiful? And my mom, I mentioned this a couple days ago, she just had cataract surgery and she had thick glasses and she was 8 years old. And for the first time in her entire life, she doesn't wear glasses. So that's her brand new face. So beautiful. Gerbot, the shallow depth of focus, that is using cinematic video mode on an iPhone. I think a 13. No, actually, maybe that's not true. 11, I think is what I have. I don't know. It's an iPhone. Uh, Chris saying my dad has the kindest eyes. It's interesting, when without the audio, you see different things. Yeah, it was really fun. My parents are so different in their interviews and the questions that the way that I took the questions, and I really feel like I captured their essence. I'm so stoked. So I'm so grateful that I did that. It was a thing that was been nagging me for years, really over 10 years. I've been, you got to do that. You got to do that. And how bummed would I have been if I never did it? Yeah. Which, by the way, I encourage that to be something that you do for your parents or anyone. I actually asked, I'm going to try to record Lisa's folks while they're here. When I visited Amy a couple years ago, I asked if I could interview her mom, and thank goodness I did because she's no longer with us. And yeah, these are the treasures that you can't save up for later, make enough money for and get. You gotta make a little bit of time, and it's awkward. People don't like to be interviewed. Amy's here. Yeah. Um, good morning, Amy. Um, yeah, if you're thinking to do it, let me give you a couple tips. One is don't do it in harsh lighting. So don't do it. In fact, I was really impressed with the iPhone. It did great in not that bright a light. It lightened the screen as much as it needed. They're not moving around a lot, so you don't need a lot. It's not going to get that blurry. So you don't want direct light. You want so because that direct light, like light from a window, will be harsh shadows. So you want indirect ambient light in the shadow. And what I did, I think is helpful, is you put a camera on a tripod and stand next to them and say, let's you and I talk. Do it so that it's not portrait mode, so they can't see themselves. Other tips. Uh, have the camera as close as you can. Don't zoom in because you want the microphone as close as possible. This is the easy way, using the microphone on camera, which is what I did. In the past, I've tried to do nice microphones and then try to sync the audio recording. Look, I'm just glad to make it easy. Other things that were helpful is okay. So I had them talk to me instead of the camera while I interviewed them, and then at the end I said, "Now, would you look into the camera and what advice would you give to your grandchildren as they're going out into the world?" And I'm going to share the truth, which is that what I really wanted to do was to have words of wisdom for when they're no longer with us. But I know that if I ask that question, say, hey, what would you like your grandkids to know about you once you're gone? Or what advice do you have them once you're gone? That is going to put someone in a very different headspace because I've messed up. I've not messed up, but I've tried that in the past, and you get the person starts crying. You just almost can't help it. You start crying. So, but that question really worked well. Of like, hey, as you're look in the camera and give some advice to your grandkids as they're going off into the world, and they gave great answers. Very different, awesome little seeds of themselves. Um, and that was into the camera. Everything else I did talking to me. And the other advice I would give is start recording, have some notes of some stories that you know of theirs about them and some topics that you want to get to, and plan on talking for 5 minutes or so before you ask them anything that you really want to know about. Start just like ask them to tell a story that they've told a million times. In fact, that's a great thing. If you know they have stories they always tell, oh, tell me a story about the time that you were running for vice president of your school and your opponent hired a plane to fly over while you were talking, which is a great story. I felt my dad was running for this is a true story. So he's running for vice president of his high school, running against like the golden boy, the jock, and the rich kid at school. And while my dad was getting up to give his speech, a plane went by, and his opponent's name was Fred something something, and the plane pulling a banner saying Fred, and everyone was cheering and hooting and what, and my dad was just up on stage, and then it finally died down. He goes, "Man, people just cannot seem to spell Stin right." And then everybody started cheering, and he won. So I've heard that story lots of times. Asked him to say that, just to get somebody and then try to get a little conversational so that people don't feel like they're being interviewed and this is important and they need to say the right thing. Because what you really want is their energy. You want to capture their playfulness or their care or the twinkle in their eye. Um, so hopefully that's helpful. Yay, Chris. I mean, I guarantee you will not regret it recording someone that you love. And then you can just upload the full, full res version to like YouTube or Vimeo and they'll store it for you. Although YouTube tends to degrade over time. Vimeo keeps a full version of it. You can put it on your Google photos or something like that. I'm not an expert in backups and data, so actually ask someone else for how to make sure you don't lose the footage. Herbot says, I'm grateful for a weekly family Zoom we've been doing since COVID. I've been recording the meetings and I've captured so many impromptu family stories. Yes, dude, that is so awesome. Again, that is a treasure that is priceless. So priceless. And speaking of footage and photos that are priceless, so I don't have any video of me as a child. I have photos. And in the photos of me as a child, I look a lot like a little boy I know named Asher. And so I am frequently, while talking with him on a video call or when we play in person, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm witnessing my childhood self, and it's such a kick. And this week I sent a picture of me about the age that Asher is now at. You may have seen me post it of me on Santa's lap. And I don't know how it went about if Amy, if you asked Asher if he would do the pose or what, but then Amy posted a picture of Asher mimicking me in the photo, me as Asher's age. And so we have the picture of the two of us with our like almost identical noses and eyes. And it's again, treasures, 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 treasures. Yeah. And speaking of treasures, I am going to be able to physically hug and see Amy and Asher at the end of this month. So I will be acquiring gigabytes of treasure. Anyone else have any gratitude to share? Wait, did I miss Panos here? And Neck, hi. And anyone else that I may have missed, please say hello. Last chances to share a little bit of gratitude or where you are physically. I am in Solana Beach, enjoying the sound of the ocean. Lisa's parents have an Airbnb nearby, and they're visiting for a few days. Super grateful to get to know the couple that brought Lisa into the world. And they're still together. I got to hear their story of how they met and how they got engaged, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to more getting to know uh, Lisa's family. Well, I'm so appreciative of this practice and appreciative of this opportunity to connect with you, to remind myself and one another that we are love ambassadors and we are putting ripples in the world all the time. And it doesn't take a huge amount of effort to just orient towards putting those ripples out into the world, orient towards seeing an opportunity to connect, orient towards, you know what, actually, I'm going to, on my way to the condo, I'm going to see if my parents are there and say, could I record you for 10 minutes? I am grateful for trying to find the ways that we can be love ambassadors in the world. Rocio, good morning. Rocio is grateful for an online codependency course that has opened my mind in so many ways. Wonderful. There's so much opportunity for wisdom and learning in the world now. I mean, we're inundated with information and manipulation, but we also have access to so much wisdom, and we also have access to so much misery. We were talking last night at, we live in a time when the internet and 24-hour news stations, we have access to all the suffering in the world at all times, which is more than a mind can process. Humans are not meant to to feel and be aware of all the suffering in the world at once. So it takes some discipline. So give yourself a break. It is not cold-hearted to allow yourself joy. It is not insensitive to sit in gratitude. The practice of gratitude is one of saying, the world is filled with suffering, and it's filled with ice cream cones and laughing grandparents and dolphins. And it can get easy when we're just such a flood of negative things, dark things, to feel like how how could I dare look away? To which I would say, you have to. Not always, not forever, but you need a balanced diet, and we are nourished by joy and love and connection so that we may have the strength to put our energy, put our love, our efforts, our heart, our finances towards relieving suffering, towards illuminating darkness. So thank you, fellow love ambassadors. And that act of illuminating the darkness doesn't mean, you get a one-way ticket to Africa and build wells. It means you're friendly to your neighbors. It means you smile and look people in the eye and say thank you. It's just it's the simplest of things. So thank you for being a part of this wonderful team human. And with that, wherever you are, I welcome you to join me in a hug. And as you squeeze your body, allow yourself to sink into this place of connection. Feel me holding you, you holding me, and all those that are here, all those that have ever been called to this space where it doesn't matter where our feet are, it matters where our heart is, and we are connected in this place of shared humanity. And let's forgive ourselves, let's forgive others. No, there's no such thing as blame. There's just trauma. Each of us doing the best we can with what we got. Let's forgive ourselves, let's forgive others. Let's strive to be our best as we take a deep breath in and squeeze. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb, my parents, and all of you beautiful love ambassadors, thank you for being here for this Hug Nation Love Morning. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Happy Thursday. You are so welcome. Oh. And I am doing my physical in-person meetup for Love Ambassadors, January 13th, 14th in San Diego. Actually, don't tell anyone. This is where we're going to be meeting. I have this place reserved. So we're going to be meeting here. This is going to be our backdrop as we do circling exercises and connection exercises and all sorts of good stuff.